Elvis said this is the first time he's thrown a pass on the field.
Oh, really? You mean on this new field?
Well, since he left school. You too, or?
I didn't even pick up a ball out there. No, I was in that.
You were in
field house at Glick. Or everything's changed so much since I've been here. They said, "Oh, where are we going?" They said, "Glick." Well, where's that? You know.
Does it look like a different place to you?
Yeah, it does. Like just the facade looking, up here, it didn't look anything like this before. So they've obviously done a ton of work and new field houses, a new weight room. And just leaving the field house down there, the coach, one of the Jay Harbaugh said, "Take the kids back to the stadium." I was like, "Which way do I go?" But
when was the last time you were back?
I came back once, like a couple of years ago, for the Notre Dame game. But other than that, it's just like basically my first time back in a long time.
Did you have a relationship with Jim and, getting involved in this camp?
Not specifically for this camp. We played against each other when he was the Colts and I was with the Bills. We reminisced a little bit about that. But obviously I've known him being a Michigan quarterback. But I think initially who called me was T.J. Wiest. I guess he's on the staff, and he was with Cam Cameron, back in the early 90s, so that's kind of my connection. They must have known that he knew me, so he got my number.
How fun is it to work with young quarterbacks? It looks like they're pretty eager to learn. And Elvis was saying, what's different from when you guys grew up, you guys played multiple sports. These guys are now very specialized.
Yeah, exactly. Funny you say that, because they had that baseball drill down at the field house. I don't know if they did it up here, but a few guys were throwing. You could tell some guys really didn't know how to throw a baseball that well. And my pod of 11 guys says, "How many guys play baseball here?" And only 2 of them raised their hand. So I think I asked them what else they did, and I think some of them said train for football. Whereas, I played 3 sports, and I think most of us were just multi-sport athletes. But now this increasing specialization is going more in the direction of just training for one sport, which I don't really think is a good idea.
Why don't you think it's a good idea?
I think, especially with young kids and, overuse injuries with the arm and just, doing repetitive movements over and over. I think the more sports you can play, growing up through high school, the better. I guess some would argue that other kids are playing one sport year-round, they need to keep up, with them. But I just think for overall physical development, I think it's best to play as many as you can.
So much is made of Jim as a hands-on coach. I guess you were in the field house as he was here, but what have you seen from him as a coach working with the campers?
Well, yeah, the one thing I see is intensity. Even when he's giving a speech, he's into it. And I know for the former players at Michigan, we're just thrilled to have him come to get the job. And we've seen what he's done at his other stops. He's going to bring back the brand of Michigan football that I think everybody wants to see and what this program is built on.
How hard to watch the last 8 or so years? I mean, the transitioning through 3 coaches now.
Yeah, it's been difficult because you never thought, like after I left, and of course Lloyd was here, I'd always used to say that like Notre Dame had dips and other the great programs had those peaks and valleys, whereas Michigan has just been like this. Not national champs every year, but they've been solid, and that's one thing we could always avoid. But then finally, I guess it's inevitable that we have that turnover and the change. And I think that's what makes it so difficult to compete is when you have different regimes coming in and changes of leadership. And it just goes to show you how fortunate Michigan was in the past to have basically like the same regime in place throughout like 30-something years. So hopefully you can get back on another 30-year run starting now.
Along those lines, do you feel like a positive energy here, even just for a camp like this with so much buzz around it?
I do, yeah, I definitely do. I think as a quarterback camp, and then having Jim Harbaugh, seeing what he's done, not only as an NFL quarterback, but also as an NFL coach, head coach, quarterback coach, and now if you're a incoming quarterback or leaving high school, where else, if you want to go to, get to the NFL or maximize your talent, where else would you rather come than here? But I'm a little bit biased, but that's what I think.
What happens when a bunch of former Michigan quarterbacks get together? Do the stories get better? I mean, do you throw like 90 yards? I mean, what happens when you're telling
Well, I got to see, Rick Leach and Johnny Wangler last night, and I'm really proud to be a part of the tradition of Michigan quarterbacks. And they were talking about, like, I was always showed that highlight that Wangler threw to Anthony Carter, and I didn't know it was the last play of the Indiana game, so we're kind of reliving that. Rick Leach said, I guess they were close friends back then. Rick had left the game because I didn't know it was a tie, so he was walking away kind of all angry, and then he heard the crowd erupt, so he actually missed the play. And then, Rick was talking about a play in the Rose Bowl or something like that. So I love to hear those stories. It's worth it to come just catch up with those guys. And then, of course, Elvis, we were contemporaries. We played together, so I hadn't seen him in a long time. I didn't even recognize him at first. So, yeah. So that was good to see him.